cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Hey, welcome to Dave
and Mickey's
Shiny Side Out on WZZR, coming to you from Australia, where there's lots of nasty things that bite you, for Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. It's home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations in the chat room, and a great place to also get your merch. I know where that voice came from. This is show number 515.
5, 10, and 500.
Yeah, catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device. Smithers, what's that? That's your phone, sir.
Would it be awkward if I told you I love you?
What if you did it? So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. Oh, a bin. And if you missed Laris's show, it was awesome as usual. It was tonight she was holding the Cyber Witch Cafe. And now we're talking about Imbolc. Am I correct, Mickey?
I think that is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to be corrected. Did you know you can access the archives for free? This is from the station. They do ask that you become a patron if you want to do that. And you can have do the equivalent of like $5 a month or something. Just support the station, because if you like anything at all, really, we're all doing it for free, but the station still has costs to run it. So please jump in there or get yourself some merch. And you can buy yourself some merch from the station's website. Now, you can listen to her shows or download them because they're only MP3s. You can jump in and find Shiny Side Out, for instance. You can download all of them if you like and listen to them and binge them in your own time. If you missed one, they're there. But if you don't have to just listen to us, you can listen to Solaris's shows, because she always had a great show, or any of the other host shows. Feel free. And do you know what, Mackie? Because I'm in Australia, of the home of bitey things, I call the big one bitey. I'm broadcasting out of Darkinjung country.
And I'm broadcasting. We will broadcast in anger soon, and I will be doing that from Darug country.
Excellent. And look, Ben, Mickey and I, we both acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. It will always, it has always been, it is, and it will always be the traditional custodians of the land's land. They did a hell of a lot better job than we did at looking after it, and we only have it for 5 minutes. So we pay our respects to those elders, past, present, and future.
Indeed.
Wow. Now, look, you've heard me mention twice that Australia is the home of bitey things. You get to, how old am I? 54? You get to 54 and
You're old! You're old!
And the teenagers look scary. Right? I got a funny story about that, Penny. 1957, I think it was. I woke up and made myself some toast. I put the toaster on 3. Yeah, when you get old. You're lucky to get old in Australia because of all the things that can bite you.
Go on. Tell them what the price is, son.
Tell them the price, son. I got bitten by something. I don't know what it was. The hospital doesn't kind of know what it is. But my leg's swelling up really bad.
And what did they give you to combat?
Antibiotics for some reason.
They give you. Now, antibiotics for everybody. There's an antibacterial treatment. If Dave were at risk of infection, which he very well might be, right? Then, antibiotics make sense, to stave off bacterial infection. Won't do anything for the bite, necessarily.
That's right. The bite continues to spread the venom from whatever it was that bit me.
But we're keeping the bacteria out, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that's right. Once again, it's clean. It's definitely a clean wound. And it's spreading. So it's doing maybe a centimetre or more per day, growing in the craziest itch, and it's all swollen, so it doesn't matter how I move my foot, I'm stretching the skin, and there is an abundance of pleasure to be had by scratching it. But when I do, it gets worse. So, and you've got to wash your hands. You can't touch it. It's hideous, and it's got this yellow ooze that's disgusting coming out of it.
It's you know
That's my skin dissolving, Mackie.
Yeah, that's what that is. And bones are falling. Well, we're leaving this ship.
Like rats leaving a sinking ship.
What is this yellow ooze? Your bones, sir. Vacating the premises. No, but it's just
that takes me back.
It's just the one hole, the one puncture that you.
Yeah, it's only one a single thing. Yeah.
And I can't think of anything except for
that has a scorpion. We have scorpions.
Well, I guess scorpions are the Fiat unicorn snake. That, of course,
that's the most equivalent of a unicorn snake. But I was just sitting at my desk at home, and I felt I felt a sensation that I could most likely attribute to being a mosquito bite. It wasn't a wasp sting, and it wasn't a jumping jack, which feels like a wasp sting because they actually devolved back to ants from being flying wasps. So they've retained a wasp sting. It wasn't like that because that makes you feel like you've just caught on fire wherever they've bit you. So this was nothing like that. And the next thing is, it's a day later and my foot's swollen up like the dickens. And it hurts like, I don't know, what's an Australian word? It hurts like buggery. But, that'll get me cancelled. Because someone will take fancy or offense to it. Anyway, so that's all I've got for me personally. Let's keep. What's that? Something about this space, Becky. When you got to provide an update. Watch this space. Yeah, watch this space.
We will. With Argus eyes, shall we watch this space? Just like the ancient Ikiki were watching us. So shall we watch the counting of the numbers shall be 5, not 7 or 10. 3 is right out, but 5.
5 they shall not count.
That's horrendous. I mean, the problem here, of course, I mean, we're making fun of it in light, but it's in Australia, literally everything will try to kill you.
Yeah.
And being well, what worries me is that no one can tell you. I mean, look, a scorpion makes sense. Having said that, scorpion venom is quite painful.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got none of that. I reckon it's a recluse spider. I reckon one of my pet cats has gone out, and there's a rodeo outside for spiders. They jump onto the back of the cat. Yeehaw! Right? And they ride them for a while, and when they brush up against a human, they get annoyed because it's like, the cowboy spider has fallen off his ride, off his steed.
Cat boy, really, right?
Cat boy, that's right. And, 8-legged cat boy, and there you go. And it's decided, as it rubbed up against me, I don't like you, and it's bit me. Because I couldn't find it anywhere.
That's interesting.
We bought a bunch of plants recently, indoor plants, and one of them came with the most extraordinary spider I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
Not the same spider as that's bitten me this time.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I presume. And it's a couple of inches across, kind of like the size of the perimeter size of a funnel web. However, it's completely white. Looks like it's been carved out of ivory.
Wow.
Totally white. And the 2 front legs, it moves around sort of like antennae.
Okay.
Very strange. Never seen one of those before.
Does it jump or no?
No.
Okay. So it's a primitive spider. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it was on the lounge, and I realised that it had bitten me on my thigh, this stupid spider, right? This is a different time. This was weeks ago. And I went, oh, man. And as I'm watching it walk away from me down the back of the lounge, and I've gone, oh, that hurt. But, the pain's going away. That's all right. No other effect. caused a lump under the skin, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously where it laid all of its babies. I'm kidding. Anyway, so I haven't seen that spider since. I went, wow. Okay.
Maybe your I don't know, your fluids killed it.
Yeah, that's what it did. It tried to bite me, sucked some fluids in, and went. "Eh." It was the castle of. So look, I have to laugh about everything in my life because there's just some crazy stuff going on, right? My whole life from top to bottom is crazy. It's busy as hell, and there's, I'm not trying to, I don't want your sympathy, right? It's just, I don't know. I always imagine life to be a hell of a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
A lot less things going on. I see my friends or other people, and they can afford some gardening time or going for a ride. This guy in the street has a motorcycle and he gets off and does things and comes back. And he's always really friendly and nothing going on in his life. There's nothing. Every day is the same. It's like Groundhog Day. I kind of wish for those days.
But you really want like an awesome day for Groundhog Day, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like a mind-blowing day. If I had to relive the same day over and over again, I want it to be humdinger is what I want it to be.
It wasn't. I wouldn't want it to be that day that I got stranded at Baralla railway station.
No, not really.
Because there's nothing there. There's not even a shop within walking distance.
I was working a double shift in the hospital kitchen, and then I went to the that's actually called a pick bucket, right? And this is a true story.
Yep.
And the pick bucket are the 3 big barrels in which you put all the leftovers from all the trays, right? And it's emptied once every 2 weeks.
Oh, jeez.
You make trips to the big bucket with buckets full of leftovers, I guess, and you just chuck it in.
Yeah.
You can imagine the smell once you open the pick bucket. Now that's the day you want to relive forever, isn't it? Right?
Oh, that's the day you fell in it. Yes.
Ooh, it's kind of warm.
It's happening again.
Something is wriggling between my toes. I'm not dead. I am not.
I'm not dead. So help me. No. So look, this week, this is the same thing, Becky. The same thing comes around, and it comes around, and it's coming in waves of people who are siding with the narrative. And this is in reflection to the latest news about the Joe Rogan podcast, Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. So Neil Young thought he had a large enough stick to beat Spotify around to say, well, I haven't listened to that Joe Rogan, but I want his show cancelled. Why? Says Spotify. I'm making this is an imaginary conversation, but you can imagine how it would have gone. And he goes, well, he was spreading lies on his podcast about the virus. So I want all my music removed, please. And they go, okay, we'll remove your music.
Neil who?
That's right. Showbiz is a fickle thing, a fickle business, kid. Remember that guy? One day you're somebody, the next day you're not remembered. And then Joni Mitchell, in support of Neil, has also decided to have her music taken off. But that's not true because I can still listen to it. I like Big Yellow Taxi. Yeah? Neil Young, I don't think I've got a song in my playlist from him. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well,
right?
That's.
But still, I'm not saying he's terrible. I just, okay. So, what's going on when you have, but Mackie, when you've got people trying to support the banning of somebody?
See, look, if somebody's spreading active hate and the call for violence, I get it. Right? That's fair enough, right? If that's what happens, because freedom of speech. Is to me it's sacred. It's a sacred thing. It really is, right? And you should be able to say whatever you like, unless of course you're actually inciting violence and you're asking to harm other people. I think that's not cricket, right? That's
right.
But if you're trying to because it's censorship. I mean, essentially what Neil Young is trying to do, he's trying to deplatform Joe Rogan and censor him, essentially taking away his voice. But why? What was it that? Because I didn't follow that part. You know what he was offended by specifically?
Yes, because I've heard the podcasts.
Yep.
And I heard regular discussion going on. They had a doctor on who was the creator of the RNA.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you know, there are dangers.
Of course there are.
And it got everybody upset. Remember that the Pfizer test data is in a digital vault for 75 years.
That's a shock. And every company that produced the vaccine has been indemnified, meaning you can't sue them. Which is, look, you know, and this is really important to understand. Okay, so there was a problem, and I'm not even talking about anything else, but there's a problem in the world. It's a burning issue, it seems, right? So everybody's panicking, which is what they wanted. Everybody's panicking. Oh, help us! A pandemic, a plague, blah blah blah. So okay, well, we need an answer. We need a quick answer. Okay, let's get a quick answer. What do we do to get a quick answer? We go to the pharmaceuticals and say, hey, I need a vaccine yesterday.
And they go, sure, we can make one.
Right, and so they do, and they have, and you know, it took 6 months, 8 months, however long it took, and it came up.
But Mackie, I'm the pharmaceutical company in this conversation right now, and I said, well, we don't have all of the adequate tests.
I don't care. I want it now. I need it. Give it to me now.
Are you quite sure?
Yeah. Come on, give it to me now. Right.
Well, we'll give it to you under the proviso that no one can sue us.
Yes. Sure, whatever.
Sure?
Just give.
Okay, well, sign here, and you've got it.
Yes. Quick now. Ooh, just before the election. Ooh. Crisis averted.
Made it. Phew.
Yeah.
Right. So these vaccines will be approved via an emergency procedure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And because there isn't a treatment that we know of.
Don't care.
Yeah, right, cool. Yeah, cool. All right. Hey, fellas, just in not you, government, but hey, fellas, we've still got those treatments, right? We've got cool. All right, so we'll wait until we've vaccinated the planet, then we'll pull out of our back pocket these treatments. And anyone who has a treatment currently that's not specifically identified and made for the virus, we'll write hit pieces on, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. It's a deal.
Crisis averted.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, that's exactly what happened. Okay.
Yeah. So Neil Young would have been better placed going on Joe Rogan's show and expressing his point of view.
Completely.
I know. It'd be a boon for Spotify. He'd be able to keep his music online.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan would be able to balance it out with a good conversation.
Sure. And that is what free speech is about. So I want to be very clear on something here, right?
Yeah.
When we have a debate, a discussion, an argument, even let's call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be it face-to-face, online, in writing, on the phone, on the radio, it doesn't really matter on television, right? The aim, in a scientifically minded environment, the aim should not be to win, right? The aim should be to come to a useful conclusion, to reach a point of common understanding and reason, where we can all walk away and say, hey, that was a useful conversation. I get it. I get your point of view. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for setting that clear. Oh, I got that wrong, but you got this wrong. Yeah, I did get that wrong. And that's called, so you've got thesis, antithesis, and then you come to a synthesis, right? Which means you get two opposing or 3 or 5 opposing sides. It doesn't really matter. And then once you've discussed it reasonably, rationally, like 2 normal or 5 normal or 10 normal human beings, you can then say, okay, well, this is now.
Then you call for an agreement, so everyone must agree on the points, and you've got your outcomes.
But no, we all have to win, Dave.
Oh yeah,
we must win. You see, because that's important. We have to win the out. And what you get a prize? What you get? I don't understand what you get when you win. That escapes me entirely. But nonetheless, we have to win. Here it is, and that is the problem, right? And because Neil Young he might not even fully understand what went on, because the truth is this, right? And this is
to be honest, I don't think they've listened to the actual
No.
podcast before they make their decisions. Yeah.
Because look, we have vaccines which are they have now been tested on large sample sizes of the population. Yes, that's tick number one. Okay,
Yeah.
tick that.
7 billion
But-
at least, yeah.
Yeah, but what they have not done is test them over long periods
Mhm.
of time. They're called longitudinal studies. Right? When they're
Mhm.
long periods of time with a lot of people, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have time for that because the politicians said, "Hey, we don't have time for this." Right? That's what it is. We
Well,
don't have time
we're
for it.
how long are we? A year in, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the main issue here. We're not in a good place. We're
So
down.
I'm gonna say this properly. There is a space that is opening up in the middle between everybody's ideas.
Yeah.
Where the messages from our beloved leaders, and Mickey, have I said that I love the leader?
I triple love the leader.
I triple love that. I love the leader
If there's
first.
Any doubt? I triple love the leader. Yeah.
I left the leader this morning. All right. So, given that the leaders, all of our leaders of all our respective countries, went in very strong initially, saying how the vaccine will stop them from getting the virus and stop them from transmitting it. That masks are not a thing, then they're a thing. All this mixed messaging along the way. And then they've doubled down again. And that's a fan of the show gave me that expression, which I hear almost every other day. And it's absolutely right. That the people and their messaging, rather than saying, well, information has come to hand where we see that the vaccine is only, and this was our messaging all along, you and I, that the vaccine prevents you from having it lessens the impact of the virus on you as on your person. And that's the messaging they should have held with the whole time. Yes, people who get the vaccine will acquire the virus, and not only comorbidities, but even with people without a comorbidity, still have the possibility of passing away directly due to the virus, and not just to a comorbidity. Now, this messaging, Mackie, this void in the middle where people have been too afraid to speak about it, my thoughts are that we're going to see a bunch of people as representatives, mouthpieces, come forward to fill the void, because it won't be you and I in our, with our tinfoil hats on. What it'll be are people who will gain respect. Remember, the people who said we wouldn't be acquiring the virus once we've been vaccinated and the transmission will be nullified by the vaccine, those people were wrong in stating those facts as they saw them. So what they're going,
catastrophically wrong.
yeah. So what I believe is going to be the case is that people will be built up in this void and be given, be anointed as the spokespersons for this new way of thinking. That way, the politicians and all the other experts can't be wrong. They'll just fade into the background.
Yeah, but
That's what I think is going to happen. And those people, that have still been doubling down on their, no, I'm not going to stop saying that you're immune to the virus once you get vaccinated.
but this is really dangerous, because the thing is this, right? And what does the vaccine do? The only thing the vaccine can do for you, and it's the only thing that anyone that has any understanding of it claims, is that it will lessen the severity of the disease for you. For you. Now, what that means is potentially that the viral load that you shed might also be lessened. Potentially. We don't know that, right? Now, will it make you immune? No. Will it stop you infecting others? No. Will it stop you carrying the virus anywhere you go? No. None of these things. Will it actually lead to herd immunity? No.
That's right.
Okay, so this SARS-CoV-2, it's a corona. It belongs to the family of the coronaviruses. Okay,
Mhm.
and just like the flu also belongs to the family of the coronaviruses. The common
Mhm.
flu, whatever. Now, we don't have a natural immunity against the flu. Now, some of us do. Some of us get the flu badly, others don't get it at all, right? That's just like, same with SARS-CoV-2, the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Some of us get it, some don't. Now, but there will never be a herd immunity.
Yeah, and it comes round. It comes round. There's variants in your body. It evades your body's defenses. It's seen coronaviruses before, but there's just enough change for it to reinfect you every season. Yes, every year.
Yes. Yes.
So I've been getting my flu shots since the beginning of time when they started making them, and it doesn't stop me from truly getting sick from the regular flu, or from it doesn't do anything to the coronavirus, the SARS-CoV-2. So having said all of that, the important thing is that we continue live discussion, that we don't allow all of the messaging to be a single voice with only that voice allowed.
Yeah.
Because if it's wrong, then we're all put to risk. I think debate is healthy. Now, we haven't debated anything here. We've only said now, so Brad Hazzard, for instance, in the New South Wales Health Minister currently, he has stated exactly what I've said. I'm repeating what he's said, but we've been saying this for some time, and that is that all of the things we've just stated about the vaccine and about how you can transmit it and you can acquire it, and it just lessens the effect on you. If you're lucky, it'll lessen the effect on you, and that is because we're still seeing people dying who have been fully vaccinated. That's for 2 doses. Our government in Australia decided not to change the definition of fully vaccinated. That's still 2 doses, and then booster shots after that. Now, I've had my booster for Pfizer, and they're already talking today about a 4th.
Yeah.
So the question remains, how long is it going to be? And this is not me, this is others. How long is it going to be before it pushes others to say no? How many boosters is it going to be? And will we see another variant? Well, it's probably most likely.
So,
because we've seen the stealth version now, which added the S protein back again.
Yeah. But
which was in the Delta strain.
Look, there's like a subvariant of the Omicron, they say. But the point here is this, right? Now, let's be very clear. A lot of people don't get tested. In other words, so 2 things. The medical community, and these are doctors I'm speaking to, they had COVID, but they don't know which variant.
That's right.
You have to actually test for it. And there's no time for it. You just get over it, and nobody does. So I don't know how we know it's Omicron or not, because hardly anybody does the genetic testing anymore. I'm sure somebody does somewhere. Secondly, though, is this, and this has been talked about for the longest time, and this is where the pandemic talk comes in around profits. They're talking about SARS-CoV-2, this whole corona thing, and booster shots, like they're talking about the flu.
That's right.
Meaning we will all get a flu shot every year, right? I mean, I don't, but people get flu shots. That's good. They can do what they like. But then there's expectation here as well that people will be expected to get a coronavirus shot every year, right? Or every 6 months or whatever it might be, right? Because this is just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching for the pharmaceutical industry. It's a huge money spinner, if you think about it. Right? It's massive. It's massive.
But now they've pulled the treatments out of their back pocket that they've had for a while, waiting for all these vaccines to get thrown out there, and still the treatments haven't been approved yet within their respective countries.
Correct, but you're 100% correct in saying they're there. Treatment regimes are now being rolled, or they're on the way of being rolled out.
That's right.
So that's definitely something that's happening, right?
If this was viewed as Agenda 21, because all the tinfoil hat wearing people, me included, have an impression that we'd been waiting for something very similar to this to actually push Agenda 21 forward.
Yes.
when you look at the number of cases, for instance, in the COVID-19, 23.3 million in the last week, and 55,500 deaths. That's globally. And some of the numbers that I thought were staggering, Mackie, was in Australia, it doesn't sound like much globally, like 456 deaths in the last week.
Mm.
But, you know, the 30 here, the 40 there, the 20 there, they
up.
all add up. And we're almost, this is the highest amount of deaths. Now, with all the comorbidities, it just looks like a cleansing exercise. I'm so sorry to say that. I feel sorry for anyone who has passed away and those who will have to remember them. And I feel sorry for everyone involved, yes? I mean, my heart goes out to anyone, all the families of those who have lost someone to COVID. But I've got to say, wow, Mackie, if you were one of the parasitic class and you were trying to design something that had tick boxes on the screen, one of those things would, let's cleanse the herd, right? Oh, cleanse the herd. Let's do that. Tick the box. Yay. So, surely someone can make that for us.
We discussed this right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but ultimately what this is, it hit old people really, really hard. Right? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was that in Italy, a whole generation, in some regions, I mean, we lost so many old people.
Was lost, yeah.
Yeah, we don't. It's horrendous how many people actually succumb to this. And now, the kicker here is this: we have got an aging population. We got an aging population in Europe, especially, but in Japan, in Australia, in America, and in Europe, aging populations, which is a huge issue. And if you can take almost how many 5-6 million almost have passed away, and a huge portion of those have been old people.
Yes. On
the pension, or people that are just about to come on a pension. This is a massive saving for governments. Now, this is not the only reason this is happening.
No.
Right? But, and I know I'm sounding callous here in saying it, but I think one of the motivations that we have to contend with here is to save money. It's to save money in old age pension, because it's a huge issue. I mean, why do you think Germany allowed 1 million Syrians, right? And it now turns out, including hundreds, if not thousands, of war criminals, because there was a case recently, and they interviewed the person, one of the prosecutors in Germany, and they said, well, this is just a symbolic case because we can't prosecute them all. There are too many of them.
Yeah.
In Germany.
And we're talking like 18 to 35-year-old fighting age.
Yeah, completely.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this massive issue with an aging population, which this hasn't solved, but it has somewhat alleviated, and might alleviate even further as we move into the future. And then of course there's the impact on male fertility if you do get a really bad SARS-CoV-2 infection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to be very clear, right, because there seems to be this misconception here, the main reason people are admitted to ICU and then onto a ventilator, so ICU and then ventilator, not ICU alone, but ICU ventilator, is because of your body's immune response to the virus.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're on a ventilator, no other reason. And it is that spike, because people say, people go into the ICU all the time, and a good friend of the show's mentioned, I say, yes, look, you're right. However, it is the spike of admissions to ICU that's the issue here. And the problem is, it's like having 5-6 major road accidents every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you have those, with 40-50 people requiring ICU just from road accidents every day. Now, if that were to happen, in reality, we would be in the same situation we are now with SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah.
It'd be an issue. It's a problem, right? It's not easy to deal with. So there are a lot of people don't think this through. They have an opinion, like you said earlier. They have an opinion. That opinion we're going to ride home, and people are focusing on numbers and relative percentages. We have to look at the holistic impact of this thing. Just like 9/11, who benefits? Where are the strings tying together? What is coming together in this? What is culminating in this event?
Yes.
Dave and I, we looked at the deaths of microbiologists over a couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes perfect sense to me, right?
That's right.
Because they were leading lights that would have worked on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But clearly not the right ones. These were the ones, and I'm not saying people have been corrupted, but clearly these definitely haven't been corrupted because they're dead, right? So it's
Mackie, I want to point this out.
Yeah, please,
so
go ahead.
in Britain, they have a death spike over a 5-year average of 178,000. So in the 5-year average, you can watch it go up minutely, up and down over 5 years, and then suddenly there's a huge spike, and it's COVID-related deaths. And all countries are seeing the same spike, and it is yes, there's other killers, there's road deaths, or there's cancer, or there are other things, and if it was in New Guinea, it could be what's it called? Multi-drug resistant tuberculosis.
Oh, that's
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that you just die, right?
Yep.
So yes, there are other killers. This is entirely preventable.
Mm-hmm.
We remember every new host provides an opportunity for a variant, and we're rather than just simply putting our weapons down and living with it. If I were in control and making rules, I would be doing an elimination of it, keeping the borders shut, putting dedicated quarantine in place that we do for horses that want to come and visit this country. We don't do it for humans, apparently. Yeah, don't care. So I'm really kind of concerned that this is handled in such a way as to continue or propagate this virus, perpetrate the idea, and to keep that rolling. Imagine if we didn't have any fear, Mackie. I remember, pre 9/11, watching the news and seeing a distinct difference between then and now is the same. The happy stories and talking to authors and doing all those things that they used to do pre 9/11 when the world was our oyster, we could do it, we could accomplish anything, to this world of fear. The George Orwell world of fear, perpetual wars. And because, you step out of one war in the same 6 months and let's go into another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Ukraine, the China thing, the Russian thing. Yeah. This is now we're on the precipice again, and with another conflict, or the possibility of other conflicts. I think if we were busy, if the West was busy in the Ukraine, would China, take back, as according to itself, rightfully, Taiwan? Distractions. I wouldn't put it past them.
I would say the answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah, to utilise that opportunity. Yeah. So if we're not seeing, if you as a listener aren't seeing it, I hope maybe you can determine that for yourself, do your own research. Because I'm not a doom and gloomer, right? Because I'm really not. Here I am with my growing leg, looks like a tree stump. What do I care, Mackie? It doesn't matter, right? So as long as we can look at all the things going on in the world, and Mackie and I are like sports commentators, watching the field of play and just describing it. That's what's really important. So I did a post, Mackie, today. I was talking about the Neil Young protest that he made to Spotify, despite me thinking ultimately good luck with that, because I know that Spotify had made a big deal with Joe and paid him a lot of money. Right? There was a big deal in that. I support Neil's right to protest and say what he wants. I do. I actually 100% suggest that you should leave the avenues of dialogue open and have these opportunities. But, I dare say that he could have gone about it another way.
Yeah, absolutely. Much better. Could have been done much better. And it made him look like a fool, if you really think about it, right? He's looking a bit silly now. Because it's all of a sudden, well, yeah, okay. I don't need you on here, thank you. But
Yeah. So, pardon me, not COVID.
Yeah.
So the Tongan volcano, largest one in the last 100 years, apparently. We gleaned the most data off the largest event that our modern technology been able to witness, which is really interesting. The SO2 cloud went over Australia in the stratosphere and continues to go eastward, is currently over India and continuing to go around the planet. So stratospheric moisture turns it into sulfuric acid, but the cloud is so high it's above where the planes fly. And there's been some purple sunsets as a result, but we're too south. You've got to be around the equator for the sun at sunset to pass through the SO2 cloud, for it then to mix with the red and turn it into a purple. Extraordinary stuff.
Isn't it though?
Yeah. But only a 0.3 degree drop in annual temperatures is predicted at the minute. Yeah. So while more eruptions will continue, it just seems like it's gonna, we don't know what else is in store. I don't know. Everyone's been looking at California's coast and thinking that there's some activity going on there and some pause points. So hoping that there isn't a large eruption. Also, the fires near what's it called again? Near Colorado.
Oh yes.
They've been going crazy. There's a whole bunch. I saw another sinkhole opened up, and there was a large methane explosion in the tundra, in the permafrost. There has been a spike of tectonic and geo emissions that are at this level the most we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
So, do you have something else, Mickey?
Oh, look, I mean, there's a number of different things I wanted to bring up. We've touched on a lot of it, but ultimately, though, I want to talk about the Ukraine for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening there, and why it's sensible for Putin to go into the Ukraine, because they need a warm water port. Essentially, is what they need, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Will it come to a war? And if he has 500,000 Russian troops at the border, yes, 100,000. The numbers is not enough to invade the Ukraine. Sounds like a lot of. I hear you. 100,000 sounds like a lot of people, right? Once they're in motion, right, and then it needs to be kept in the field. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But not enough to seriously invade Ukraine. He really just wants, the U.S. to come to the table and talk. Funny enough, the U.S. asked China to intercede diplomatically. China said, "Oh, well, Russia's security concerns are actually well founded. So yes, we'll help you, but please, understand why Russia is concerned." So there is that, and if he's got 500,000 people in the field, which is a fair chunk of money as well to do, to actually have in the field, then yes, invasion is imminent. But no. Right now, I would be astounded if he invaded with 100,000 troops. That would be, first of all, not enough, and he would suffer massive casualty rates there as well, especially because the US, the UK, and other NATO countries are actually shipping munitions.
That's right.
And trust me, there'll be some depleted uranium there, if anything else. There was actually the F-35, Dave just reminded me, that went down, but the Chinese have said, well, we're not really interested in your plane, thank you very much.
Wow.
Right?
Because America played that up as being the most horrific accident, losing one of their high-tech aircraft
Yeah.
to China for, reverse engineering. And China has gone, we got our own.
And this is but
We stole all the designs anyway, right?
Yeah, we got them already. So
Yeah.
But this is but it is quite telling though. I mean, the reason that the US has got supremacy in the world today is not because of its nuclear arsenal. I mean, Russia and China, even Israel, anybody can play that game, but it's a game with no winners. It's a zero-sum game. If you play the nuclear card, it's all over. So nobody wins. If you want to do that, okay.
That's mad.
Yeah, it is completely. And,
mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, which is a Cold War term, which we're just reviving here. Having said that, though, if you do,
I'm so old.
We are, aren't we? But
Duck
it's
and cover.
under the school table,
the school desk.
Table and, okay, what will it do? Nothing. Nothing. It will do nothing. But the reason the US is
the table and I will be flying through the air.
That's what's left of it is the ash blowing in the wind. Because they have a very strong naval presence. They've got massive naval battle groups with aircraft carriers. That's what's giving America the advantage. Shock and awe. I don't know if you remember this, but Iraq was pounded into the ground from with naval bombardment. Yeah, so cruise missiles and fighter craft, etc., and bombers, and then the ground troops came, right? So but China is now obviously building its own fleet and is looking to at least be number 2, if not number 1, in that space, simply because they can. They got the cash, right? And don't underestimate China. Once they start moving, they really are moving.
Yeah, that's right.
So it is a really interesting situation right now. But look, I don't think we have to worry about nuclear war. I mean, if that were to happen.
Well, the big players, Mekki, just in the last month signed the declaration to not use nuclear weapons.
Yeah, that really.
That's going to mean a lot.
Absolutely nothing. No, I don't want to be negative.
No, but they signed it, so at least there was something on paper. But when war is on. China has suggested that all bets are off.
Yeah, of course.
That the Geneva Convention, don't care.
Yeah. So what? Which ones now? Who? I mean, but that's the okay now.
It's going to be our convention, and it's whatever we want to do.
And yes, you need to understand everybody. There's something very, very
We've
important.
been playing gentlemen's wars.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In many ways, we have. It's simply because we are. We're living in an era of civilization or civilized warfare, UN and so forth, and Geneva Conventions and all those wonderful things. These are international treaties between nations, and there's absolutely nobody ever in the world that can enforce them. Nobody can actually enforce that. So
if you're going for ultimate world domination, it's going to be your rules when you win anyway. Yeah. So, and no one's going to care because there won't be anyone left to care.
Right.
The victors are the victors, and they write the history. So, one of them is that you're not allowed to use lasers to permanently blind your opposition in a war. Yeah. Who cares?
Lasers now, what?
Yep, lasers are on. If I've got a laser weapon and you're coming to me, I know I'm using it. So that is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And yeah, sure, nuclear weapons, but they're all tactical now. The glory days, Mekki. I'm gonna be romantic. I'm gonna romanticize World War II for a minute, and that is my favorite thing. That is awful, truly, truly awful. Carpet bombing. That's the thing that it's outlawed now because you're not allowed to just to wipe out all the people in the country. You're not allowed. So if I was the general, and thank the military for not allowing me to ever be a general and making the rules up, but I'd bring it all back because I think if you're playing gentlemen's rules and you're the only one doing that, you lose.
Oh, absolutely.
If the other people are playing dirty, you just can't keep playing honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. I mean, it's really because we are living in an anarchy, right? There's no ruling body here, and everybody does what they want essentially. There's just no there are no actually innate rules. If you live in a country, you've got a set of laws, and someone is at the top, and if you do something wrong, they'll punish you. That's what happens in the world, right? This stuff, no, there's no one there to punish anyone. Who would punish you? No one. Simply because it's a free fall. That's what it is. It's a free fall, right? Just be clear on that. Understand where we are, and then from that, move forward and understand that we need to make up better rules as we go forward. Because right now, if a war were to come around, this is not according to the Geneva Conventions. Okay, are you going to take your toys and go home and cry? Because what else would you do? There's no recourse. You just, okay, then, well, that's not so good. You might say.
Well, China's history in not conforming to the Hague's decision about the 9-dash line, they said, I didn't care. It's ours. So good luck with that. Yeah. Now, I'm not disputing their claim of the 9-dash line and the sea, but that's the style of management of someone who has bigger designs.
Yes,
and it should be made aware that that's who. Remember Sun Tzu, Mickey, understand the enemy.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we don't, then we lose.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are and what kind of ships you got, what kind of weapons you got, how you use them. You can be overrun pretty quickly if you're playing the honest game. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be honest, but it's really hard. What a difficult position the leaders must be facing if there were to be a conflict.
Oh, completely.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. It is, but the thing, the leaders that we have, for the most part these days, except for autocracies, are short-term leaders. They have no business guiding us through a crisis. I mean, none. They have no, they haven't got a leg to stand on. They don't know what to do in the first place. I mean, they're completely lost. They're completely lost. They really don't know what hit them in many ways. Do you know what I mean? It's really quite sad to see and understand.
Failed intel has been the direct cause of a bunch of failures for the last number of conflicts.
Yeah. From the
West, yeah.
Completely. It's really quite astounding, that we would put our faith into people that really are not equipped to do the job at all, not even accidentally. Right? Well, it's true. Because these are peacetime leaders. I mean, they're functionaries, they're administrators. That's what they're good at, right? That's what they do. That's their thing. They have nothing else. Literally.
Do you remember the quote, Mickey? No silicone diode.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite something. It's
kind of who you need in place. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. It is funny.
Well, look, we'll see them come out of retirement, no doubt. And,
I'm sure.
And function up. Look, it's only a minute or two or less until the music begins, and this has been the end of the first hour of Shiny Side Out with David Mickey. And there'll be a small ad break, and then we'll return again for the last show of our hypothesis.
Correct.
So take the break, and we'll see you on the other side.